Hi everyone, my name is Monique.
And I'm Naveen from Before You Play.
And today we are going to be doing a Q&A.
Yes, this is in place of a live stream that we were planning on doing for our 3-year channel anniversary. We decided to do a Q&A instead.
Yeah, we were supposed to do a live stream, but we kind of messed up there. We lost some equipment. We lost a cable. Specifically.
Very crucial cable.
Yeah, I don't know what happened. We had it like the month before because we had just live streamed for
I moved a bunch of stuff around and I don't know what.
And then we ended up finding it that day, which is funny, but it was too late for us to, too last minute notice.
Mm-hmm.
And so we took a bunch of questions from various places. We had questions coming in from our last vlog. We had them on our community post as well as on Instagram. So we've gathered them all. And we're going to answer as many of them as we can because Naveen has to leave for work.
I do. So we'll try to get through and just try to fire away. I don't think we're going to categorize them as much.
No,
we
didn't have time to put them in categories. We're just going to answer them randomly.
Yeah.
And anything that we don't answer, if we have enough of them left over, then we'll do a part 2.
Mm-hmm.
But this is how we have to film these days. Now that I'm full-time and Naveen is still working.
That's right, yep.
Gotta go by his schedule. Before we get started, actually, we first want to thank everybody for all of your nice comments and just people who are congratulating me and us and stuff. And on our last vlog, there were so many comments, you weren't able to get to all of them. But the one thing that I wanted to kind of apologize for is there were a few people who sent in, what are they called? The super thanks?
Super thanks, I think.
Yeah. And I guess it's a way for you to send funds, like monetary support through YouTube. And we didn't really know that existed until we were going through looking for questions. And then we noticed that some of them were sent and we didn't thank you.
We didn't say thank you at the time, yeah.
So we're super embarrassed about that. But thank you all so much for anybody who contributed in that way. Now we know that it's a feature on YouTube. All right, are you ready to begin?
Yes, let's do it.
Okay, so we have a couple of questions from the Patreon community that we just wanted to start with. And the first one is from Emma. Which game did you initially look at and think it wouldn't be one that you would enjoy, but you ended up enjoying it? It's a good question.
That is a good question.
It's a tough one.
Maybe Champions of Midgard?
Oh!
Yeah, I don't know. I always thought it was like a...
Wasn't expecting that.
I don't know. That was like one that I didn't know what to expect going into it, but I think the theme of it made me feel like it was just this big war game where you're fighting against each other.
Yeah.
And I didn't realize that it's really kind of a Euro game.
Yeah.
And so that was a big surprise for me. One of our friends taught it to us at a local convention, and I was like, this is not what I thought it was at all.
Yeah.
I completely judged it by its cover.
Yeah. That's a great choice, actually. I wasn't expecting you to say that because we had played it like a couple of years ago. That's not recent.
Yeah, just when that question was asked to me, I was like, what was it? That's it.
Yeah, it's good from the memory bank. Me, I would say, well, my answer is a video that we were sponsored to play, just full disclosure. But for me, I think it's Summoner Wars. We were sponsored to play that on Watch It Played. And just seeing the kind of game that it looked like and the mechanisms, I thought, oh gosh, I don't know if this is down our alley at all.
Sure.
But once we started kind of play testing it to prepare for that, I fell in love with it. I love Summoner Wars.
Monique is very, very good at that one.
No, not to get lucky. Yeah. There's some luck involved.
There is some luck, but
there's a lot of strategy. And I love the asymmetry in that game, but there's definitely some luck as well.
Yeah, and so this is the Summoner Wars 2nd edition, the newer one.
Yeah,
we have not played the original, so I'm not exactly sure what's different between the two.
But the system itself is something that I didn't think I'd enjoy, and I absolutely loved it.
Okay, the next question comes from Emily on Patreon. It says, have you ever considered making shirts or other merch in addition to the adorable pins? Oh, that's nice.
Thank you.
Pins, so the pins are something that we just kind of made.
Yeah,
just so
they're
when
the buttons.
Buttons, yeah, when we go to conventions.
We've mailed some out and we hand them out at conventions for anybody who wants one, which by the way, we're going to be doing that this year. So if you're going to be at any conventions that we'll be at, come find us.
Hopefully I'll have them in my bag. Sometimes I feel terrible when I didn't grab them on like a random day. Like if a convention's 4 days and on day 2, I just totally didn't drop them in the bag.
I think there was one time when we were in line for our badge at PAX Unplugged that somebody asked us for one and we had just arrived.
We had just landed. We went straight to go get our badge the day before the con. And somebody's like, oh, can I get a pin? And we're like...
And we looked at each other like, oh, we didn't bring any.
I don't have it, yeah.
Our one job.
I know.
But to answer your question, yes, we would love to find a way in the future to have more merch. It's just that we first need to figure out our branding. And that's been the most difficult part for us. Having a logo that works on like branded merch or even just on, whenever you do things in the board game space, they always ask you for your logo. And we pretty much just give them that circle that has our name on it. The thing that's on your buttons, if anybody has those buttons.
Yeah.
And it's not quite a logo. So we need to figure that out first. All right, next question. Which conventions will you be going to?
Okay, well, we are definitely going to be going to Gen Con.
Yes,
We'll be
in a
there
few weeks.
all 4 days.
Yeah.
That's just coming up soon. We will be, of course, going to Strategicon, which will be at the beginning of September during the holiday weekend.
By the way, it is our first time going to Gen Con.
First time ever, yes.
So if you have any words of advice, let us know.
Yes. And then also we will be going to Essen Spiel this year. So we have booked our flights and we are good to go as long as everything stays the way it's supposed to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Barring any unexpected, situations.
Right.
I am also potentially going to PAX Unplugged. Naveen is so far a no.
I'm most
on
likely
it.
not going to, just because of the extended time that we're going to be gone in Europe for that that trip. So it's kind of hard to take that much time off from work.
Right, and we've already gone to like AirCon this year. We've gone to a few conventions, and he has to work.
Yep.
So.
Okay, the next question is, how have you felt since quitting your job and going full time?
Yeah, that's a multifaceted answer. In general, it's a net extreme positive. This is the stress is different, but the stress that I was experiencing in my job obviously is completely gone. I will say there was a 2-week period. After I quit my job, I thought that it was just going to be like instant relief and just the clouds will part, But there's this strange 2-week period after I quit my job where I just had this like severe anxiety that I'd never experienced before. And I don't know if it was just like things that I was harboring from when I was at my job, or just like the reality of this is the first time that I don't have like this day-to-day secure, stable kind of
I think
job.
you were thinking like if you know like a pressure cooker, you can like release the valve two ways. You can do the fast relief or like the slow one.
Yeah.
I think for you probably thought it was going to be a fast release, but it's really
maybe.
like a slow release that you needed to kind of go through that process.
There's a coping period.
Yeah.
But once that 2-week period was gone, which I thought was never going to end, by the way, but as soon as that 2-week period was gone, it pretty much went away, and it's been so much better. It's not the big, easy change that I thought it was going to be, where, I'll have all this time, I'll be able to make all this content. The issue that we're running into now is we're realizing that even though I'm full-time, Naveen is not.
I am not.
And our content so far has relied on us to be able to be in the same place at the same time, to make content, to prepare for it, and all that stuff. The only thing that I can do by myself is learning games and editing.
Yes, because like we'll play games together in order to be prepared, so we both know what's going on going into a playthrough. So obviously that takes time. Unboxing is something that you can do. Unboxing, learning the games, and editing is primarily what you have more time for.
Yes.
But anything that's actually creating and turning the cameras on and getting them started still requires me to be here. So that's a little bit of a bottleneck there. But we're working through it.
So we're working on some other content types that I might be able to do by myself. It's just the equipment. We didn't have the equipment for it. So that's the kind of the phase that we're in right now. We basically have to get a different camera for me to be able to do any kind of solo content types, because right now the front-on camera that we use is Naveen's phone.
Yeah, spoiler, it's an iPhone 12 that you're watching this. Everything that you've seen pretty much for the past 2 years has been on an iPhone. We went from an iPhone 11, which is Monique's current phone, and then when I got an iPhone 12, that's what you've been seeing for probably like the past year and a half.
It's great.
Yeah, it's great.
It's fantastic. But the bad thing is whenever he goes to work, it's with him. So I guess the question is, how are you feeling now that you've gone full time?
I'm fine. I mean, I'm cool.
He's been stretched a little bit thin.
A little bit, yeah. Just because I feel like the need to keep up.
Yeah.
But also my work schedule has been pretty intense also. So finding a nice balance between regular job, content, and then my self-time is kind of like it's a little bit tough, especially knowing that we're going to a couple conventions, meaning I'm going to be taking time off. So I'm going to come back to like kind of a wall of more stuff, but it'll be fine in the end.
And the other thing about doing content creation full time is it's totally changed kind of my outlook on the week. I no longer have a set schedule. So weekdays and weekends don't really have the same kind of meaning. There are no weekends when you work for yourself, essentially. So I feel like I'm working from the moment I wake up to the moment I go to bed. Like there's no set break. Getting used to that is a little bit challenging.
But she's one of those people that like she needs to be working on something at all times.
Yeah,
like, she can't just sit around.
Still, it's really fun.
Yeah.
And the other positive side is we've been able to go back to some hobbies that we used to do that we weren't doing. Like we've been playing music together. Being healthier, just trying to sleep, eat, and exercise better is all a thing. So I'm really grateful about that. All right, aside from board game content, what other types of content do you watch on YouTube?
I kind of fluctuate. Sometimes I'll I watch a lot of like audio and video, like enhancing stuff, like people who are doing like Final Cut Pro tutorials, or like there's a guy named Curtis Judd that I really watch a lot. He does a lot of like audio gear reviews because I'm constantly looking to upgrade our audio and try to make it as crisp and as clean as possible. Because I hate the little echo and reverb that we have in some of our audio. So,
Yeah.
Also, what else do I watch? I watch a lot of Key and Peele, the sketch comedy. I love sketch comedy, especially when it's done well. So,
Yeah.
I'm a big fan of theirs. And what else am I watching lately? I watch some news stuff, political stuff.
We watch stuff together at night, like when you're getting ready for bed. We watch a lot of we both like to just learn random stuff. So we'll cycle between like a space documentary or Crash Course,
Yes, Crash Course. That's a good one. Yeah.
Videos.
Yeah. Crash Course is run by two brothers, I think, or just maybe one brother.
Well, it's a team.
What's the name
But I think
again?
it was started from the Hank Green.
Hank Green, yes.
I forgot the other brother's name now, but I love them. The
Yeah.
Vlog Brothers.
Yes.
The Vlog Brothers on YouTube, but they have a different channel called Crash Course, where they just teach you a bunch of stuff in really entertaining ways.
It could be science, history, literature, different things like that, and they kind of do it with like comedy and like good animations, and it's very easy to kind of pick up.
So we'll put that on.
So yeah, Crash Course.
I personally don't watch a whole lot of YouTube, but lately I have been. I've been kind of exploring the anime side of YouTube, like Anitubers, I think that's what they're called. And anime YouTube influencers, I guess. The reason why is because I just recently discovered anime, Japanese anime and manga. My sisters have always been into it their whole lives, and so all my siblings actually have always been into anime, and I'm the only one who never used to watch it. I don't know what it is. I've seen titles like Spirited Away, like the Ghibli,
Studio Ghibli stuff.
films, but for some reason I just never got into it until recently, and now I'm obsessed. Like, this is my new hobby ever since I quit my job. I read manga at night, like before I go to bed, and then just when I have a break, I'll just watch an episode. Because the thing about anime that's great, by the way, and I'm going to talk about anime for a second. So anybody out there who loves anime, please share some recommendations, because this is like my recent love. The thing that's great about anime is it's basically just a creative outlet. So there are tons of different types of shows that you can watch. I think that was the issue, is I had some kind of belief of what anime was.
Sure.
When that's only like a style of anime.
I got you.
You know?
Yeah.
Like, there's literally, if you have any specific interest, I'm sure you can find an anime that's based off of that. I think one day, recently, I just kind of pulled the trigger and I watched like the first episode of Attack on Titan, and it blew me away. And ever since then, I've just been consuming all these other shows. I got Naveen into it.
Yeah, I'm watching my very first one. It's called Vinland Saga.
Yeah.
It's based off of the Danish kind of inhabitants of northern England.
It's about Vikings.
In the Vikings, yeah. Which I didn't think that Japanese anime goes into kind of that realm, talking about like historical things. So I thought it was pretty cool, and we're about halfway through it now.
Yeah, we're about halfway through that.
Yeah.
I finished The Promised Neverland on Netflix, the first season, and then I heard that the second season was awful, so I just went and sought out the manga, and I just finished the entire manga recently. And now I don't know what to do with my life, when you just finish a book that you really love.
Yeah, and those who don't know, manga is the Japanese version of comic books.
Yes. So it's like graphic novels, Japanese stories and stuff. It's beautiful. Please send me recommendations, because I really need to talk to other people about anime.
Where do you play games the most? And do you host game nights in your home? And if you do you also have meals/snacks?
We play games in a lot of different places. We used to have a dedicated game group a long time ago. And then after the pandemic started, that changed a lot of things for a lot of people, right? Yeah. And so our gaming group is one thing that it changed. And so now we're pretty much like nomadic in that sense.
Yep.
We kind of just go where the gaming is. We'll get messaged from friends who want to schedule something, or we'll have friend Michael. If you saw Moonraker's video, Michael is probably our most consistent gaming friend.
Yeah.
And so we'll have him over often, and sometimes we'll just play games that we need to cover, and we'll play all day. Usually for those game days, we will have meals, right? Obviously.
Yeah.
But we don't tend to snack that much when we play games.
Not so much snack, but it'll be we try to schedule it so it's like, all right, come right before dinner, we'll eat, we'll clean up, and then we'll start playing.
Yeah. Yes. Usually like that. Yeah. We'll just have drinks at the table.
So no Cheeto fingers.
Part. Yeah, no Cheeto fingers.
No.
Do you sleeve your games, Naveen?
We do not sleeve our games. I think we have a couple games that are sleeved, but for the most part, we don't actively sleeve our games.
Yeah,
we don't punch it and say, okay, this needs to be sleeved. Shuffling sleeved cards. I know
Yeah,
I'm
Naveen
gonna
doesn't
get
like it.
comments saying, "Oh, it's easier to do it." I get it. For me, physically shuffling is so much easier with not sleeved cards. So
Naveen doesn't like sleeves.
I'm not a big fan of sleeving, especially also because we film and we have lights that are coming on. Anything with sleeves, you're gonna get just this huge shine. We're already struggling with shine on the periphery of our videos,
Yeah.
so sleeving is just kind of not something that we actively do.
And I think just like non-content related, you don't like it when the sleeves, because they stick together sometimes.
Yeah.
And it's like, there's been this other card attached to this card the whole time.
That
You know?
can happen, yes.
Yeah. You know, there was a time actually where we were sleeving our games. It was before we started getting into content. I actually still have this bag of like a
Huge
ton of
bag,
sleeves
yeah.
that I'll probably have to give away at some point because we don't sleeve. But the thing that is really preventing us from sleeving is the time that it takes to sleeve.
Mm-hmm.
You gotta sit there and you have to sleeve every single card.
Like if you had like a Feast for Odin and you had all those occupations and you had to sleeve
Or even like
each one.
Scythe. I think
Yeah.
I've sleeved. I think that is the one game that I've sleeved.
Have you?
Scythe.
Yeah.
And I just can't imagine you sitting at a table sleeving every single card. That's like totally not something Naveen would do.
Yeah, just take care of the cards
Yeah.
as much as possible. How old is Dexter?
Dexter
Dexter.
is 10.
10 going on 11.
Speaking of, hold on. Dexter's 10.
He is 10.
He's an older doggy.
He's getting some grays under here now.
Yeah.
Which is surprising. He's got some gray speckle here.
His outlook on life definitely reflects his age. He's never been a very good walker, but nowadays he like doesn't care.
He hits for the initial dog walk,
Yeah.
but if we're halfway through the walk, after we've carried him a slight distance, then he's down to walk.
He's also just like sleepier and grumpier than he
Yeah.
used to be,
Yeah.
and he's just a lump. Like,
Yeah.
like anytime, any day, he'll just be curled up in a ball somewhere sleeping. That's his ideal lifestyle.
Yeah.
I think we can all learn a thing or two
He,
from
he,
Dexter.
he gets a good like rush of energy a couple times a day, like
Yeah.
where he'll run around and just
Yeah.
want to like play, and then like he'll default back with like, oh, that's over. Like,
Yeah,
and then,
that's
sure
it.
enough, he's back in his bed sleeping.
All right.
All right, back to the bed.
All right, next question. What do you enjoy most about content creation?
Well, considering it's been now 3 years of doing it.
Yes, we just celebrated our 3-year anniversary.
Yes.
We didn't do anything again.
No,
We're
we're
gonna
doing
try
this
again next year.
Yeah. What
Oh
do
my
I
gosh.
enjoy most? Probably discovering like a game that we've had on our shelf for a long time, and just being like, sometimes we'll put it up in a poll, like on Patreon or something like that, and we get suggested like play that game.
Mm-hmm.
Like Twa was one for me, or Spirit Island was also another one that we've had on the shelf for a long time. Finally got it suggested. We're like, okay, fine, let's play it. We played it, and it was like, what the heck? Like, we've had this game for years, and we finally get to discover it. I think it's just amazing how creative some designers can be with recycling mechanisms, technically, but coming up with something completely new and fresh.
So do you feel like that applies as well to just discovering new games that you would never have purchased, I guess?
Yeah, I think so.
Because
Also,
of
yeah.
the breadth in which you're expected to cover.
Yeah, because when you're in content creation, obviously you're going to do a combination of old, but majority, the 80-20, 80% is going to be the new stuff coming out. So yeah, I feel the same way. Like that discovery process of getting the new ones in, for sure. How about yourself?
It's a tough question to answer. It's a good question. It's just, there's so many things to love about content creation. There's also a lot of things that are really difficult about it. But so much of it is so fun. And specifically for our type of content, being able to do this together, I think I've said this several times before. If we weren't not doing this together, if this was just a solo channel, the way that it started out, actually, I don't think it would have lasted this long. Or I don't know. I wouldn't have that kind of momentum just doing it by myself.
Totally.
But the fact that we get to discover every game together, we go through every challenge together, we're learning everything together at the same time is really, really fun for me. I also really enjoy being able to connect with other people about games. And content creation has given us so many avenues, or just has opened so many doors that would not have otherwise been open. Like,
yeah, I mean, you're working full time now.
Yeah, I'm working. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I'm doing it full time, and then we've been able to travel doing content creation to a couple of places already, and just being able to meet people from all around the world. Friends from all around the world. There are people that we see sometimes like on our live streams, or even just even in our Patreon community, who are from Serbia, and just like all these wonderful places that I don't know if I would have ever made friends from these places without it.
Yeah.
All right, next question. I'm going to read this to you because I feel like it's a little bit more relevant for you, but a number of people have asked this question in some way, shape, or form. And it's, do you call games? If so, how often? And if you're not familiar with the term, culling games is basically just getting rid of
Offloading.
games from your collection. Also, is your current storage solution in danger of running out of room? And do you have plans for gaming storage expansions, or is your current solution enough, basically?
Okay. Gotcha. Do we call games? Yes, we do. We typically will call them 3 times a year for the most part at our local convention. There's a math trade as well as a virtual flea market that is set up through Board Game Geek, and then we kind of run it through there. That is the main way that we offload or acquire some new games that maybe we were interested in.
Yeah.
If you're not familiar with the math trade, it's kind of like a big system where if I'm trying to offload a game and somebody else wants to offload, and then there's a third or fourth person that wants, the game, there's like kind of like this snake chain where this algorithm will be able to kind of place these games into different things. So it's not a direct A to B trade. It could be like A to B, B to C, C to D, D to A.
Yeah, math trades it's a huge equation. That's basically what a math trade is. And the idea of it is so complicated that some people don't participate in them. But if you're ever interested in a math trade, I know a number of people who are willing to help, people figure that out, because the more people who participate in a math trade, the better the trade is.
That's right, yeah.
And it's basically just a big pool where people contribute all these games that they are willing to give up. And then you make a want list saying, of all the games that are in the pool, which ones are you willing to trade for what?
Right.
It'll never trade your game for something that you didn't want. So there's no risk. It's just, it's a really, really neat system.
The only risk is if the person you're supposed to receive a game from does not show up.
Yes.
But that is an inherent risk of anything, really.
It's a risk of the group. It's not of the system, I guess.
Yes, that's right. Like, you'll never put up like, I'm willing to trade Scythe for some $3 expansion like promo tile. Like,
yeah, it won't do that
unless
for
you're
you.
willing to do that.
Yeah, it's only things that you say you're willing to trade for.
Mm-hmm.
So those are the main ways in which we call games, but we are actually calling games constantly. We have a list somewhere of games that are just like, we're just trying to offload.
Have to offload, yeah.
I know that other people, because there are other questions that we're asking about what are the best ways of getting like secondhand games. That's going to vary depending on where you are. Obviously, I think it's a lot easier for you to do it here in the United States and in California. Just because we're from California, it's really easy to find and offload secondhand games. There are a lot of people who do it off the Facebook Marketplace. There are a couple.
BGG itself, their marketplace.
Yeah. There are a couple of board game stores that have like these huge flea markets like 3 times a year. I know up north, Game Castle does it.
Game Castle does it, yeah.
And we've been to a couple of those, and those are awesome.
Yeah, it's like you rent like a
table.
Like a table, like picture like your party table like that you would have in your backyard, and you get to load up your games on there and set your prices, and then they kind of have like this snake pathway where people are just walking by and just kind of, negotiating with you right there.
Yeah.
We've done that once before. It's kind of a trek to go up north. I don't know if they have one of those down here.
I don't think they have a Game Castle in Southern California, but if you're up in the Bay Area, it's a fantastic place because it's such a win-win for people who are selling their games and you just want to get them out. You can load up the table with all your games, and a lot of people are coming to buy. And then if you're looking for secondhand games, a lot of people who are selling their games sell it for really cheap because they just need to get it out.
They just want to offload it, yeah. You can negotiate,
So those are the good places primarily. Like Naveen was saying, though, at our local convention, they also have an auction, and that's a really fun place, even just to watch them offload games. The second part to this question is our storage solution adequate, basically? And no, it's not.
Yeah, that's tough. We have 2 full 5x5 Calyx shelves. Like I said, they're full. So there's more games coming in that we like than we are willing to, or I don't know. It's hard to do a 1-to-1, like one in, one out.
Part of the issue is those shelves were full before we started making content.
Yeah.
So we've had the channel for 3 years, and over the course of those 3 years, we've covered a lot of games, and there are still some games that we haven't covered yet, and so just storing them is a big challenge.
Yeah, it is.
It requires boxes and a garage. So
okay, if you were to have your first date again, but this time taking a game to play together, which one would you have chosen? Ooh, okay. Probably have 2 different answers. Okay, go ahead. You can go first.
No, you go first.
Me?
I have to think about it.
I think it would probably be a 2-player only game, and I think it would be Shot and Totten.
Shot and Totten.
Yeah, so this is assuming that we both know that we're into board games, right? Like,
sure.
I wouldn't just like throw something on TV like that. Shot and Totten, it is competitive.
It's risky.
There is, I don't know, but it is kind of a quiet game. Like, you're thinking a lot. But
and it doesn't feel good to lose it.
It doesn't, no.
Someone's going to feel bad at the end of that night.
Maybe something cooperative now that I think about it.
I would have chosen
Shot and Totten would have been in the bag, let's put it that way.
Okay.
How about you?
That's a good question. Decorum? Decorum is a fun option. I would have said, okay, I have a few answers. This is cheating, but Splendor would be not bad because I know how much you love it. But I think the right answer in my head is a co-op.
Some sort of co-op.
Some sort of co-op.
Okay.
Horrified.
Horrified. Okay.
That's a cute one.
Yeah, it's good.
And if not a co-op, then maybe Hanamikoji.
Oh yeah, you gotta like that one. Yeah.
All right, next question. How did the two of you meet, and how did Naveen propose? Naveen?
So I proposed. Monique did not want a big showy proposal.
Yeah.
She wanted it to be just like the two of us, but like she didn't want a photographer. She didn't want family there.
Yeah.
So I did it.
Picky.
Yeah, I did it in a photo booth. So we were able to capture the photo in the moment, and it's like one of those like where like at first you see the first photo, the second photo, and then you just kind of see like the stop motion of the whole proposal. So yeah, that was one that I kind of just I don't know. I was like, how am I gonna capture this moment without like having somebody there?
It was a really funny moment actually because we'd never been in a photo booth before, and so I was like, this is a strange request. So we went in there, and Naveen was like, let's pose like this. Let's pose like we love each other. And I was like, what is going on here? And then he suddenly proposed. And
I did, yeah.
Then it all made sense.
So there you go. That's how we proposed. I proposed. All right, next question. How important is it to be critical in your reviews for both sponsored and not sponsored?
It looks like the person who contributed the question is concerned about certain reviewers only saying good things about all games. I will say there's a huge pressure in board game reviewing that I think it's kind of a complex situation. First of all, board game reviewers, people who just review, like we don't fall into that category because we do sponsored content
showcasing
that mainly have to do with showcasing how a game is played. Our channel is definitely dedicated to teaching games. That's definitely more of our spin. But for some people, they just review games, and first of all, that is quite a thankless job. Right? Like it's they don't really get much out of it in terms of true compensation for their time, right? Because it's a very time-consuming thing to have to do for the benefit of other people. Not only that, but then when they put out the review itself gets criticized.
Right.
So it's kind of a tough road.
It is.
For us personally, we don't review games that are sponsored. So anytime you see a sponsored thing, there's not going to be an opinion piece in it. Sometimes when we do top 10 lists, we will include games that we've been sponsored because we want to keep our lists honest.
Yeah, and we'll preface it saying like, hey, this is sponsored.
As long as it's disclosed, right? But in terms of the reviews that we do, we think that it's super important for us to be as critical as we can be, but we don't want to force it. You know, sometimes there are games that we end up just loving, and sometimes I feel like, gosh, I have to say something negative about it, or else people won't think that it's critical, right?
Yeah.
And it's like at that point, you're kind of forcing yourself to look for something bad. The short answer is it is important to us, but the most important thing is for us to just be honest.
Yeah.
And sometimes that will be an overly positive review.
That's true. When we think about like how we're going to review a game, sometimes we'll be like, was there anything negative? Like, it's like, that wasn't that big of a deal. Like do I really have to harp on something that's like kind of small in my mind? So yeah.
Because the problem also is if you just like, okay, Naveen, what is the one negative thing that you found in here? Just make sure to mention it. A lot of people or sometimes when people watch the video, they'll kind of latch on to that one thing. I think that happened a couple of times in like a Lacerda video that we did, where it's like, I really did not want people to focus on this one thing because it's actually not that big of a deal, but I just wanted to mention it.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, a review is a very subjective opinion piece. And just say what you honestly think. Yeah. Right.
All right. Next one. I've heard you got into the coin series recently and want to ask what some of your favorites are and how you got a group together to play. This person says they've only played Colonial Twilight solo so far. Okay.
Solo. Cool. Okay. We were introduced to coin games through Rodney Smith of Watch It Played, and he has been pretty much our only gaming group in terms of that, because he's very willing to play like several coin games at once.
He owns, I think, almost all of them.
Yeah.
So coin games, if you're not familiar with them, they are GMT published games that stands for counterinsurgency, so the co and the IN coin. There is a couple different ones out there. We own 3 of them, and we have played 2 of them so far. Yes. So we have played Cuba Libre, and we've also played Colonial Twilight, just like the person who asked this question.
Yeah.
We also own another one called Gandhi, which is one that I'm really excited to try to finally get to the table. We primarily play turn by turn based online async games. Yeah, so we have our board set up on a secondary table up in a spare bedroom, and Rodney has his there, and then sometimes we'll play with other people as well.
Yeah.
We've been currently playing in a game with Jeff and Jamie from Foster the Meeple. We are in the middle of a Cuba Libre campaign right now, and so
we've been playing Cuba Libre for months.
We have, meaning like several games, like one will end and then we just reset it and go again. We change like kind of factions.
Yeah.
So what we basically do in order to play these games is everybody has their board set up, and we'll take a video and then say like, okay, I'm taking my turn. This is going. You're moving the pieces, and then everybody else updates their board. And then when it goes to the next player's turn, they do the exact same thing.
Yeah.
And what's good about at least these two coin games that we've played, Colonial Twilight and Cuba Libre, is you can completely see all the perfect information out there. There's nothing really that's going to be like slowing you down in terms of like counter action moves. And
sort of. In Colonial Twilight, there is an aspect of being able to take over the event. And so that is a little bit trickier than playing Cuba Libre.
It's a two-player only game, though, so it's easier.
But Cuba Libre is the perfect game to play async. So those are really fun. And we've done different combinations. So right now, because Rodney wanted to play, we are doing a 4-player game where Naveen and I are sharing a role. It's the easiest thing to do for us because we're the only ones who are like in our time zone.
Yeah, that's right.
But it's been a lot of fun. And so if you are interested in games like Root was based off of the coin system, I hear. So that might be something that you might want to check out. It does have it's all like thematically based off of war.
Historical conflicts.
Yeah. So if that's not your jam, then maybe not. But all right, what are each of your current Grail games? I had to Google this, by the way.
Just to make sure we knew what Grail game meant.
Proper. And it seems like Grail games are those that are hard to find and potentially expensive out of print, which makes sense, right? The Grail. The Holy Grail.
Holy Grail, yeah.
What are your Grail games?
For sure, it's I've talked about this game a couple times. It is Goa. I don't think it's ever coming back in print. The copy I have is a 2004.
If you're not in Europe, I'd say. I think in Europe it's a little bit easier to find.
Maybe, I don't know. But at least here in the U.S., Goa. It's a auction / tech tree type of game where you're trading spices and doing things like that. But for sure, that one for me. How about yourself?
Gosh, we're not really big on just like collecting out of print games. We just happen to have a couple of games that are out of print, and so the one that's probably the most out of print is Witness.
Yeah, Witness. That's right. Yeah.
It's such a silly game, but I don't know if they're gonna reprint it. I wish they would just like come out with expansions. For that. I love Witness.
Witness is good. Yeah.
Yeah, telephone mystery problem-solving cooperative game. It's hilarious.
Will you guys make an appearance back on Game Night with Lincoln and Nikki?
Well,
probably.
It depends on if they are looking for more guests in the future.
Yeah.
Game Night with Lincoln and Nikki, they also have a couple of other members who are regulars. And so anytime one of the members is out, they'll typically maybe reach out.
Yeah.
But we love all the folks over at Game Night. They are so nice. Lincoln and Nikki included, especially really nice people. And so I wouldn't mind.
Yeah, they basically said just hit us up if ever you're free.
Yeah.
And so I think we just we haven't really coordinated.
It's a little bit of a drive.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'd love to. If you've never seen any of the episodes, we'll link them in the description. I think we were in 2 or 3 of them.
I was in only
we did the Essen.
That's right.
The Spiel des Jahres video from last year.
Yeah.
We did Fantasy Realms, and I think I was on 2 episodes
you
before
were on
that.
A couple other ones. Yeah.
What are some of your best memories from the earliest days of your channel? That's a good question. It's nice to reminisce.
Well, that place that I mentioned where we're playing Cuba Libre, that is the room that we used to film in. So if you watch like older videos, don't watch them, but they're there.
You have to stumble across them.
It's like super high contrast, and it was a sweat box up there. It's really hot, especially when you brought in the lights and everything.
You had to close the door.
You had to close the door because the volume would kind of go out, and it was just not the best experience in terms of where we filmed. We're so glad we came downstairs in front of the fireplace.
Yeah.
But for sure, that one is
That's your best memory?
It's a good yes.
It's a funny memory.
It's a funny memory. Just like I would tell her, I was like, I can't film in here. This is
every
too
time
hot.
we filmed, Naveen would have like a minor panic.
It's because it's upstairs in our house. We live in a 2-story house,
in Southern California.
And the heat rises, and so it just gets trapped up there. Whether you film during the day or nighttime,
and then the lights would
add to
that heat
for
sure.
It was too tight in there. Yeah. How about you?
For me, I would just say it was the discovery aspect of content creation. You know, at the time when I first started the channel, or when we first started getting into it, there were so many moments of I just want to be established already. You know, I just want to know where our channel fits in the board game content creation world. And there's a lot of that discovery along the way where you're like, I don't know if this is ever going to become anything, or I don't know if what's going to happen. So many unknowns. And in that moment, and I'm sure this applies to a lot of different hobby spaces, but in that moment, you just want so badly to already be there when you kind of discredit the journey. And the journey is the best part, because you learn so much, you gain so much just from that journey aspect, so much more than where you are when you finally are established, right?
Okay, yeah.
So
probably for you also learning about multicam editing.
Yeah, that's part of the journey.
Yes.
You know, all of the, oh my gosh, I could have been doing this whole time. I could have been editing this way and it would be much faster.
Save your time, yeah.
There was a time when I edited playthroughs without multicam editing. And so if anybody is familiar with that concept, imagine what that would have been like for like a 2-hour playthrough. Wow. And so once I discovered that, my life
changed.
Yeah.
Yes.
Do you like Luke Laurie's games? Luke Laurie is a designer. Have you considered covering Dwellings of Eldervale, the Manhattan Project Energy Empire, or the new one, which is Andromeda's Edge?
I do like Luke Laurie's games. Manhattan Project Energy Empire is one of my favorite games. I don't know if I've played too many of his other ones.
I think those are the only 2 that we played.
I've played Dwellings of Eldervale once in a, was it 4 or 5 player experience?
5.
Was it 5? Yeah. Yeah, it was, I didn't do very well in it, and I want to play it a second time. I know a lot of people really, really enjoy that game, and it's another one of those kind of like Champions of Midgard, where I didn't like the cover told me that like, oh no, it's just like this like dragon fighting game, but
dragon fighting.
Yeah,
I mean, you're not totally off.
Not totally off, but so when it got taught to us, I was like, oh, this is very in line, because I'm a big fan of Scythe, so. It was very much in line with that kind of like feel. And so I want to play it again. I really enjoyed the company and playing it. I got pummeled, so I need a second chance at it and to kind of see what the game really does have to offer.
It's definitely one of those games that you have to play a full game of it and to realize like, okay, so that's what the game wants you to do. Like that's where the strategy is, right? So I think I totally understand the feeling of I need to play this again.
Yeah, it was the 3/4 way of the mark of the game, and I was like, oh yeah, it's too late to kind of make up lost ground, but okay, I see it. But now it's been a year probably since we last played it, and so it's like I'm gonna have to rediscover it.
Yeah, I love Manhattan Project Energy Empire. That is a fantastic game. Not a 2.
Not at 2, yes.
Because of the way that it scales.
Yeah, somebody's asking if we would cover it on the channel. Probably not at 2. We have played it at 2, and it just was not as good as at 3. I think 3 is the perfect number for that game.
But yeah, those are the only 2 games from Luke Laurie that we played. The Dwellings of Eldervale, I actually also really enjoyed. But I think it's one of those that actually benefited, in my opinion, from the high production value. You know, there are a lot of games where it's like, this is overproduced, and this didn't need to be this way. It didn't really add anything to the feel. But for some reason, in my opinion, Dwelling of Eldervale benefited from that. Like the big monster pieces that you're moving around, and if you got like the deluxe something, then they roar. Oh, yeah. Just like added to the feel of the game. That was neat.
Yeah.
All right, for the next question, there were a lot of questions of would you play or have you played or will you cover this game? And so I've just made a list of the games that people were asking about. So you can answer it as have you played, do you plan on covering this game, whatever you want to do. So first one is Trailblazer, the John Muir Trail. Never played it.
Never played it, but are we playing this?
It's not on our radar. We don't have a copy of it, so there's no plans right now. But it is a game that I would love to try one day. Lagoon is another game that I've always wanted to play. I think Lagoon came out several years ago.
I don't know this one.
It has some pretty artwork. Outside of that, I don't really know much about it, but the look of it is appealing to me. A Feast for Odin, yes, and the time is really soon. This has been like a year in the making. But we're finally at around that point in the Uwe Rosenberg series. The next one is Caverna. And then after that, I believe, is Fields of Arle, which is super exciting for us because we've never played it. And a 2-player only Uwe Rosenberg that a lot of people say is their favorite.
Right.
And then after that is A Feast for Odin. But we haven't decided. What do you think? For anybody out there who's already played A Feast for Odin, do you think we should play it with the expansion? Because I don't think we want to do 2 playthroughs. Just one.
Just one, for sure, yeah.
Yosemite.
Yeah, that's a game that I think that's coming out, right? Soon, if not, is it already out?
No, I think it's a Gen Con release.
A Gen Con release. Okay, yeah, that one I'm interested in playing just because obviously we're from California and Yosemite's here in California.
Mm-hmm. PAX Premiere.
PAX Premiere second edition. We've seen it in a lot of comments asking us about it. We haven't played it. We don't have access to it.
We were burned by one PAX game.
PAX Renaissance we played once, and so that was a little bit like.
It was a tough teach from whoever was teaching it. I don't remember who was teaching it at the time. And then when we played it, everybody was extremely confused around the table. And after that, we haven't touched a PAX game since.
Yeah.
But I know that not all the PAX games are the same. You know, we should probably take them all on their own. Yeah. And so
we've heard from a lot of people that it's right up our alley.
PAX Premiere.
Yeah.
Ankh. Ankh is a game that we are going to cover. I don't know if we're going to do a playthrough of it, but we're definitely going to review it.
Yeah.
Honey Buzz.
Honey Buzz. I don't know the mechanisms of the game. This is an Elf Creek game, I believe.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
Yes.
It has like the squishy components or something, or it has really nice components.
Yeah.
We haven't played it. We don't have a copy. I would love to play it. That's all we have for that one. Merchants of the Dark Road.
Another Elf Creek game. That is one that had been interested in. I think it's already out, right?
Yes.
Yes, it's already out. It was a Kickstarter game, and I think is it narrative based?
I have no idea. We haven't really looked too much into it,
yeah.
But I do want to play it. Radlands.
2-player only, I think from Roxley. We don't have a copy. We don't have plans on playing it like on the channel or anything, but it's definitely one that's on the radar that we'd be like totally down to play if we had access to it.
That's been highly recommended a couple of times, so I'd love to play that. Anachrony, okay. Just wait a little bit longer, but yes, we are going to feature Anachrony in a kind of a bigger way on our channel. We're going to review it, and that's going to take some time, but we're trying to juggle kind of leaving for the convention. I just went full time. The Uwe Rosenberg series that's recently picked up, and then we also have to do that Tricarion playthrough first because we want to finish out Tricarion first. Black Angel.
Yeah, this was suggested to me. I think it's the same designers of Trois.
Yeah, that's one that you've been so curious about since it was released.
I don't know. I know the Black Angel is like this ship that you're operating, and other than that, I really don't know too much about the mechanisms of the game.
It has really interesting color schemes.
Yes.
It's like neon pink and black. And if you look at it and you're thinking, what is that game?
Yeah,
right?
yeah. I've wanted to play it. We just don't. I don't think we know anybody that has it.
We don't.
Can teach it. So, yeah.
Maybe one day.
One day.
And then the last one on this list is Barrage.
Oh, Barrage. Yeah. Everybody says it's good, and everybody says it can be mean.
Yeah.
So it's one that I'm actively avoiding.
Yeah, Naveen's been avoiding that. I would be... The only thing is I think it's also long. So that combination of things, the fact that it's mean, cutthroat, long, there's some take that in a big way, is a little bit of a detractor. Maybe if we hadn't heard all those things before going into it, if its reputation didn't supersede, after the gameplay, then maybe
exactly what you mean.
we would prioritize it more. But I think we're both slightly avoiding it. If we were to do it in the future, gosh, we would need a third player to actually feature it on the channel, and that would be super tough to play that with Michael, because Michael would cream us.
He would be mean. All right. Do we own any games we don't play anymore but just can't part with?
Yes.
I think so.
We do. Definitely. We definitely do. I think we don't want to admit it. Whenever we go to the collection to call games, there's always those games that one of us will be like, what about this one? We haven't played this in 2 years.
Yeah.
And then the other person will usually say, no, but how could we get rid of it?
Yeah.
So the answer is definitely yes, but neither of us will admit to which title that is.
Yeah.
All right, we are running out of time, so we're only going to answer a couple more of these, and then we'll have to do a part 2.
Sure.
How many times do you feel you need to play a game to feel like it was a good investment, and how do you know you've played the game enough?
That's a good question. Gosh.
I guess the question also depends on, do you mean for making content, or do you mean just, regardless of the content, if you just had purchased the game and you want to know if you spent... if you invested properly in that game, right?
I see.
So you can try to answer both if you like.
Maybe you want to play the game at least 3 times, I want to say.
Yeah, 3 seems to be like the magic number for us.
Yeah.
We try to play a game 3 times before playing it and reviewing it, for sure. We don't have I mean, there are a lot of different schools of thought in regards to this. There are people who are like, you got to play the game like 20 times, and we just don't have the bandwidth for that.
Nobody can do that. There's no way.
If that's the kind of benchmark or something that you need in order for a review to be valid, this is not the channel for that.
It's not happening.
But in terms of, what about just in terms of purchasing a game and wanting
I think the same thing, 3.
It?
I think after 3 plays, you should probably have your opinion about a game and like say like, okay, yes, this is something I want to keep, or like, no, I think I've had enough.
Yeah.
For sure. By play 3, I would say.
For us specifically.
For us, yeah.
Everybody's gonna feel differently, but yeah, I would say 3 plays is good.
Yeah. Okay. Do you play all your games in your collection at least once a year?
Definitely not.
No, not
there's
possible.
it's not possible.
I don't think we can.
We wouldn't do anything else.
Yeah, it's not possible.
Okay, this is a funny question. If you could cosplay a board game, what would it be? Now, mind you, we've never cosplayed before. It's not something that we would do. Like, we would be open to it, but we just haven't had an opportunity arise where we had to cosplay. We've never been to like a convention where people.
I think you're more open to it than I am.
Yeah,
I
am. Naveen would be along for the ride.
I would not be down, but as a good sport to answer this question, maybe I would be a character from Root or something.
Did you say
like
you
that.
would not be down?
Yeah, I wouldn't be down.
What?
Yeah, I'm being honest.
We're gonna go to an anime convention.
You
next
asked
year.
me a question. I will be honest with my answer. So I would not be like, ooh, I can't wait to dress up as something. But for Halloween, yes, I will dress up. But for going to a convention, it made me feel a little uncomfortable. I'm gonna be honest.
But you would cosplay as Root? That's the one that you would choose? Can you imagine Naveen as like the Woodland Alliance?
A Cascadia tree, I guess, or I don't know, a gem dealer in Splendor. But I will say, as a good sport, Root. Which character? I'll be the vagabond with a little sword or something.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
that's cute.
Yeah.
I will say we're going to go to an anime convention next year. Naveen is aware of this. It is the biggest anime convention in LA.
Are you going to dress up?
Typically, people typically do cosplay when they go to those types of conventions. And so if you watch anime at all and you've seen Spy X Family, that's probably what I would consider doing. You just have to dress up in a suit or something, or just like a nice outfit.
As long as it's not in the summer, I'm
It
down.
looks like a spy.
Okay. Yeah.
If I were to cosplay, though, as a board game, gosh, there are some fun answers out there that I'm totally blanking on. So I would just say TI4. I'd be that lion.
I know it. I should just be one of the explorers in Lost Ruins. There we go.
Oh, gosh.
Yes,
Naveen.
safe.
Or one of the faction from Terra Mystica.
Oh,
I'll paint you.
Yeah.
All right, most impactful rule mistake you've ever done.
Oh, yeah.
I'm pretty sure we've made a bunch of rule mistakes in person teaching, but I'm gonna just assume that this means in content creation, in like a video, because if you've been following our channel for a long time, every now and then we do make rules mistakes. It's so hard not to.
Yeah.
Especially when it comes to games that are like 25 pages long, and then the rule is literally one sentence in that 25 pages. Oh, it's hard. But would you like to answer this one?
Sure. Monique and I covered a game from CGE called Under Falling Skies, where it's a solo game, but we played co-op on the channel, and we were playing in a way where we were making it super difficult to blow the aliens out of the sky.
Yeah.
We were playing where you had to line up a certain number and fire within that same column, if you're familiar with this game.
Yeah.
But we didn't realize that once you get the dice in the right situation, you can fire on all the viable aliens out there. So we somehow still won in that playthrough. We did take down the video just because we did not want to improperly teach or showcase the game.
Yeah.
But
it was such a big rule mistake that we took the video down.
Yeah.
So maybe one day I'll play it solo or something, just so we can have a video for that game again on our channel. But that is probably the worst offender. Do you use BG stats?
So we started off the year strong, and we have faded hard.
Yeah, we have to play so many games that it's so hard to remember to put them in there.
Like we just did the Watch It Played stream, which we played 10 games. None of them were documented.
Yeah, we should
Who
document
played them,
those.
Who won, none of that. So,
we started kind of documenting whenever we remember, but not documenting scores, just because we want to use BG stats as a way of just remembering what we played. Like the new games that we've added into our memory bank.
Right, especially like when you're going to do a top 10 or something, like top 10 newest games I played. It's like,
what games did we play?
What did we play again?
Yeah. But it's definitely hard to keep up.
Okay, last two questions. Any thoughts on a Stefan Feld series?
Ooh.
These series they take way more time than we thought about, you know?
No, we knew that they would take this much time because
Yeah.
our first series that we ever did was the Vitella Serta series, which was, that was quite, but it was easier to do that because it was during the pandemic, during the quarantine period of the pandemic.
Yeah.
So we were at home anyway, but like this Uwe Rosenberg series it's tough because there are so many games in this series. We knew it was going to be tough. We knew going into it. But I think the hardest part about doing the series is feeling like you're letting other people down, especially when you go on a break and you get a lot of messages of like, oh, are you going to continue this? Please don't abandon this series. When is X game coming out? And we totally understand the need to, or like the want to know when the game is coming out, but we feel bad not being able to produce them in a timely fashion.
Totally, yeah.
It's just impossible. We can't do it. We'd have to give up our lives.
We would, yeah. Like there was a window of time there where we didn't like release a Uwe Rosenberg game for I think like 2 or 3 months. But like we are fully aware we are still pushing forward on it. It's just gonna take more time than we were dedicating to the Vitella Serta series.
And for context, if you look up Uwe Rosenberg and all the games that he's designed, it's a huge list. And like we've been doing this series for probably close to a year now. And the reason why is because each game is heavy. We have to learn the games. A lot of the games we've never played before. You know, we'd only played a few of Uwe Rosenberg's games going into it.
Yeah.
And so we have to learn the game. We have to play it a few times to be able to review it. And then you got to film it and edit it. And filming and editing an Uwe Rosenberg games takes hours. The whole process, that's at least like an 8 to 12 hour process. The whole thing does not include playing the game to prepare for it.
Yeah.
And so, none of these games obviously are like sponsored content. So when we plan on doing this, we know that we're dedicating just free time to it. Mm-hmm. So it's tough. It is tough. I don't know where we will be after we finish the Uwe Rosenberg series in terms of starting a new one.
We'll probably take a long cooling off period.
We'll definitely need a period for sure.
Yeah.
Specifically, Stefan Feld. Stefan Feld is a hit or miss designer for me. In general, I think he's a fantastic designer, and there are some games that he's designed that I absolutely love. They're in my top 20, of all time. But there are also some games that like, table flip, Notre Dame.
Yeah.
Notre Dame is one.
Maybe we won't do a playthrough of each, but maybe a review. Where we don't have to go through the whole thing.
We might consider just doing a ranking video and just not playing through them. Because that's the hard part. The hard part is making playthrough videos of all these games.
Very hard.
But we can always do like a ranking.
Yep.
All right, final question. I'm sorry, we did not go through, I think we went through maybe half of these questions. So we'll do a part 2, which means if anybody else has any questions they'd like to add, feel free to leave them in the comments down below. But this is a fun question to kind of leave on. Naveen, if you had to be a kitchen utensil, what would you be and why? I'm asking you because you are the chef. Naveen is quite a fantastic cook. And I'm very curious to hear what your answer is.
I mean, a chef's knife.
Oh.
Yeah, I think the question is not actually what is the one thing I would want. It's what would I be?
Yeah, what would you be?
What would I be?
What would you turn into?
I would say a chef's knife.
You think it would be a chef's knife?
Yeah, I think a chef's knife in the end. Yeah, because it's universal. So like I know a little bit about lighting. I know a little bit about video. I know a little bit about how to teach the game. Monique knows most of it. So I'm a little bit of everything.
You're a universal person.
Universal, yeah. What about yourself?
Plus, I like that answer actually because chef's knives come in a lot of different qualities, and like people tend to take care of their knives. If there's one thing in the kitchen that they take care of, it's their knife, right?
Should, yeah.
At least you'll be taken care of.
Oh, yeah. Okay. How about yourself?
Gosh.
You had all that time to think about this question.
I can't even think of what the different kitchen utensils are. In my head, all I'm thinking of is spatula.
Spatula?
A mixer. I'd be a mixer.
Oh, like a stand mixer.
Is that a utensil?
It's an appliance.
Okay, I'd be the little thing that's in the mixer. Okay. Because then I get to dance
like
all
the
day.
Dough hook?
Yeah.
Going around like
I
that?
get to be amongst the sugary batter.
Oh, okay. That's a good answer.
Thank you. All right. Well, that is all the time that we have for now. Naveen has to run off to work.
Cool.
So that ends our Q&A for today. Thank you all so much for contributing questions and for all of your congratulations and all the nice words that you kind of sent over on our last vlog. But like I said, we're going to be back for a part 2. So if you have any questions that you'd like to contribute, please leave them in the comments down below.
Thank you all so much for watching the video. We hope you enjoyed it. If you'd like to see more like this in the future, please consider subscribing.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Bye.